Then she called the name of Yahweh who spoke to her, "You are the Elohim who sees." For she said, "Have I also here seen him who sees me?" Therefore the well was called Ber Lohoi Roy. Observe, it is between Kadesh and Bered. So Hagar bore Abram a son, and Abram named his son, whom Hagar bore, Ishmael. Abram was 86 years old when Hagar bore Ishmael to Abram. Genesis chapter 16, verses 13 through 16, exegesis. Elohim who sees, Yahweh's mercy towards the outcast, towards Hagar, towards the remnant. Hagar, abused and fleeing, meets Yahweh in the wilderness at her lowest point. She discovers Elohim who sees the afflicted, not only the covenant bearers like Abram and Sarai, to which the promise was given. He sees the afflicted, Hagar, at her lowest point in the wilderness. Notice the parallels with the remnant of Revelation 12 who flee into the wilderness, where they have a place prepared by Yahweh that he should feed them 1,260 days. Just like Hagar is in the wilderness, just like Yeshua was in the wilderness, just like Moses and Elijah were in the wilderness. This reveals a foundational truth of Yahweh, that he sees every injustice and every tear, including the remnants, including Loipos, suffering in the final crisis. Ber Lohoi Roy, the well of the living one who sees me. This location becomes a memorial of divine intervention. Every remnant believer has a Ber Lohoi Roy moment, a point when Yahweh breaks into your wilderness with direction. Notice how Hagar is in the wilderness at her lowest point, to where she sees Yahweh Elohim and he directs her and gives her direction. Ishmael, to which Hagar bears to Abram, is a child of the flesh, yet still seen by Elohim. Though Ishmael comes from human planning instead of divine promise, because Abram took it upon himself with Hagar on Sarai's word instead of listening to Yahweh's word and Yahweh's promise. Though Ishmael comes from human planning instead of divine promise, Yahweh still names him, preserves him, and gives him a future. This shows the mercy of Elohim even when we make mistakes. Prophetic parallels. Remnant versus flesh systems. This is important. Just as Ishmael represents a human solution, Revelation contrasts Daniel and Revelation. You have the woman of Revelation 12 and then the woman of Revelation 17. Notice how the woman of Revelation 12 is clothed with the sun, with the moon under her feet, the true spirit-led remnant. And then the woman of Babylon, the counterfeit man-made religious system of Revelation 17. So you have the system of the flesh and the system of the spirit. To Abram and to Sarai, the promise was given, to which is symbolic for the system of the spirit. To Hagar, it was righteousness by works and human decision, which is the flesh of the system of the flesh. So you have these two parallel systems in the story of Abram, Sarai, and Hagar. Abram and Sarai tried to fulfill prophecy through the flesh, just as end-time Christianity tries to fulfill faith through human traditions, which is the institution and the doctrine of Roman Catholicism, is penance, righteousness by works, paying to get sins absolved, Sunday laws and Rome's authority rather than obedience to Yahweh's command, adhering to the traditions and the doctrines of man, which were implemented Constantine 300, Nimrod and Semiramis in the Tower of Babel, the traditions of man, as opposed to the word of Yahweh Elohim, which says, remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. The remnant is seen by Elohim. Hagar was alone and oppressed, yet Yahweh saw her. Likewise, the remnant in Revelation 12 is persecuted and driven into the wilderness, but Yahweh protects them. The earth helped the woman. Remember, Revelation 12:16, the earth helped the woman and opened up its mouth and swallowed up the flood which the dragon had cast out of his mouth. The dragon being that Roman beast power which unalived Yeshua. Out of its mouth came waters like a flood, symbolic for the persecution in the 1260 years that that woman was in the wilderness, just like Hagar was in the wilderness. And that woman was a system of flesh. That Roman system that unalived Yeshua was a system of flesh, just like Hagar. Hagar was a system of flesh because the promise was to Abram and Sarai. But just like Yahweh saw Hagar in the wilderness at her lowest point, Yahweh saw the remnant during that 1260-year period of persecution. So the Lord is ever watching over his children, ready to send help when help is needed. Patriarch and Prophets, page 129. Just like Hagar, the remnant, the loipos, never escapes the eye of Yahweh. Hagar's story proves no one is invisible to Yahweh. Your wilderness is not unnoticed. Your tears are counted. Your path is guided. Yahweh sees you, Yahweh leads you, and Yahweh fulfills every promise in his perfect timing, just as he did with Abram. Isaiah chapter 43 verse 1 recalls us to this. Fear not, for I have redeemed you. I have called you by your name. You are mine. Isaiah chapter 43 verse 1. You are seen, you are known, you are his. Remnant loipos. Alright, loipos family, let me know what you think in the comments below about Hagar's story, about her fleeing into the wilderness, seeing Yahweh Elohim, saying that you are the Elohim who sees, and any of your thoughts on Genesis chapter 16 verses 13 through 16. Exegesis. Alright, loipos family.